Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome. My name is Marty, and I'm going to be recording a number of videos that share with all of you my experience and journey living with Hemi Facial Spasms. I hope that these videos will be informative for some of you that might be experiencing some of the symptoms that I have, or maybe you've already been diagnosed with hemifacial spasms and you're trying to decide what options are good for you or treatments that it may work for you. I've tried a number of them, and the reason I want to record these videos is to give you more details of the process that I went through and my experience and how I felt. I want to use a format similar to Back to the Future. I love that movie, by the way. It's one of my favorites. The main character's name is Marty. My name is Marty, so hey, it seems appropriate, right? So let's begin by going back to July of 2022. That's when I first felt a twitch in my left eye. Actually, my left eyelid, sorry. And really didn't think much of it. It just felt like a nervous twitch, and I went about my day. The days that followed, however, the frequency and intensity increased. Not only was it happening more than once a day, it was like 2 to 3 times a day, but the duration lasted much longer. Rather than 5 to 10 seconds, it now was lasting 30 seconds, sometimes even up to a minute. It was then that I decided I better go see a doctor and find out what the heck is happening. So I visited my doctor, and he asked me some questions. When did it occur? How did it occur? Was it painful? He examined my eyes. He checked my lungs, my heart. And at the end, he concluded that it must be something neurological with me, and recommended that I go see a neurologist. So I found one close to where I live who had very good reviews, and set up an appointment. I went to go see her, and she asked me the same questions. When? How long did it last? Was it painful? And I answered them, but at that time, I wasn't experiencing any kind of facial spasm. Fortunately, my wife, who went with me on the appointment, had recorded a video on her iPhone, and she shared that with the neurologist. The neurologist, after viewing the video, said to us that she believes that I have hemifacial spasms, but wanted to make sure. And one way that she could do that is for me to undergo a procedure known as MRI. Now, this is not a surgical procedure. It really is like getting an x-ray. It's not an x-ray. It really is a image that takes a three-dimensional look or view of a certain area where the practitioner, or in this case my neurologist, felt that there could be some type of abnormal activity occurring. She was concerned that I may be suffering from a stroke, and she wanted to rule that out. She also wanted to rule out whether I had a tumor. So having an MRI image performed would help her with that decision. So what is an MRI? It stands for magnetic resonant image. And like I said earlier, it's three-dimensional. And they do this by having you lie down on a platform. You have to be still, and they slide you into a cylinder. So if you're claustrophobic, that could be an issue, and you better let your doctor know about it. When they slide you into this cylinder, you have to lie still until the process is completed. In my case, the process took 20 minutes. Started with the top of my head to the bottom of my neck. My MRI, however, was with contrast and without contrast. So with contrast means that they inject intravenously a dye into your bloodstream, and it travels through your body, and it provides a contrast for the MRI unit to detect. And it's that contrast that helps the practitioner determine where the abnormality is or where the issue might be. And best way I can describe these images, it's not like an x-ray, but again, it's three-dimensional, so bear with me, because I just figured out what I can do is I have an orange, and I'm going to slice it in half. So by slicing the orange in half, as you see here, if I were to want to look at the half of the orange from the top down, I could peel this back and I could view down and I would see my image, right? That's what MRI is. It allows the practitioner to look at different angles. Now, because it's three-dimensional, I cut this orange again, so it looks like this, and let's say she wants to look at it that way. She can see it that way. So that's really what an MRI is. And by adding the contrast will help determine, like I said, where the abnormality, I'll get it right one day, is. So after I had this performed, I went back to visit my neurologist, and she concluded that I did not have a stroke or an onset of one. She concluded that I did not have a tumor present, but she did affirmatively approve that I had Hemi Facial Spasms. I asked her, what are Hemi Facial Spasms and what can be done about it? So let me see if I can explain to you what she explained to me in simple terms. Hemifacial spasm is when a nerve inside the skull comes in contact with a blood vessel. When it comes in contact with a blood vessel, it becomes agitated. And this agitation causes it to send a signal, in this case, either to my left eyelid or my left cheek or my left eyebrow, to spasm. And it's a spasming. Is it painful? No. It's not painful in my case. It was just very irritating. So that's what hemifacial spasm is. I then asked her, hey, what can I take to help relieve me of this twitching? And she said there are a few treatments, but the most common is Botox. It's not a permanent fix, however. It will, however, help with this, with the twitching and or the spasms. She said the ultimate and permanent fix is surgery. So I was at that point in time with this journey, to decide which course I wanted to take. I made that decision, and I'm gonna share that in the next video. So thank you for watching. I want to keep these videos less than 10 minutes, and I'm at that 10-minute limit now. So join me in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day.